It's the finals of the WR Chess Women's Tour in Tokyo, Japan. Vaishali comes in. She's reached the finals by beating Irene Sukandar in the quarterfinals and Kosteniuk in the semi-finals. Her opponent now is the young Kazakh girl Alua Nurman, and well, she became very popular recently because of her selfie game with Magnus Carlsen. If you remember at the Grenke Open, where she asked for a selfie, and then Magnus told the arbiter about the phone and so on. But she is playing so well here. She managed to knock out Katrina Lagno. A handshake there for the photographs for the finals. It's the first leg of the WR Chess Women's Tour, and Vaishali has reached the finals. She is the current World Championship challenger. We have Fiona, who's introducing the guest there, who comes in and makes the first move on the board of Vaishali and Alua. In the background, you can see the arbiter there, and behind him is Vaishali's very good friend Harshini, who's there as her manager or good friend for this event. Vaishali, can she manage to win this two-game match and take the title? Pawn to e4, and Alua goes Sicilian, and Vaishali plays the c3 Sicilian. Maybe it's the first time I'm seeing her play this move, pawn to c3, and you can see Alua is a bit surprised. She goes knight f6, attacking the pawn. Pawn pushes forward, knight to d5, and Vaishali brings her knight to f3. Knight c6, and now d4 is the main move, but she goes bishop c4. This does allow knight b6 and then pawn to c4. If you want to push forward, it is possible. Alua plays pawn to d6, and Vaishali now can take here. She can also push d4, but she plays e6, and that's a very interesting decision because take is a free pawn. I mean, if you go knight g5, I have queen d7. Maybe this is something that Black did not like, but it was nice. Instead, she goes f6, and this allows Vaishali to get a very strong pawn here. I guess what Alua feels is that she will round up this pawn now. You can see it's attacked once, defended once. She can come here and attack another time. It's a very ambitious way to play here because, you know, your pieces are all tied up on the last rank. But knight d8, and you can see that now there are 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. Pawn to a4, great move by Vaishali, threatening a5. Alua says, I get the pawn now. It's important. Vaishali pushes a5, knight d7 played. Look at the time. Vaishali down to 3 minutes. Pawn to d4 played. And that's a good move because you want to open up the position when you are ahead in development. a6 played. And now maybe c4 to close down the position, but she takes on d4. And this allows pawn takes. And Vaishali is happy because now knight comes to c3. Then the knight could jump to b5. Bishop can come to f4. And what Black is suffering is permanent issues with these pieces. Knight to c3, good move. And Alua takes the pawn on a6. B takes a6, and the rook can enter in. Rook takes a6 is hanging. It takes it. Knight to c6. And now you can go queen b5, knight b5. Both look very tempting. He goes in. The only problem that Vaishali has is she has only 1 minute on the clock. Queen comes back, and now bishop f4 plays it. This threat of knight c7 check. Maybe king f7 is played, and now knight c7 anyway, allowing knight takes d4, and Alua takes it. But Vaishali is like, the rook is hanging. If you move the rook, a7 is hanging. So queen d3 played. And now knight takes b3. Not taking on f3. That's a surprise to me. So now queen takes b3. And rook is hanging. Pawn is hanging. Too many things hanging. These 2 pieces need to move. She goes rook c8, but now Vaishali chops off the pawn. She takes here, and if you play knight c4, I have knight d4. So she takes on f3. Okay, you can take back here, but queen takes b6 is very strong, and Vaishali takes it with just 15 seconds on clock. Alua has 13. She's also low on time. She goes bishop e4, but doesn't this allow knight b5? She finds it, and the queen moves. There's a check. But rook c6, what a defense. What an amazing defense by Alua. If you take here, black is back. So queen b8, amazing move played by Vaishali with just 3 seconds on the clock. Queen g4, threatening a mate. bg3 needs to be found, finds it. Bishop to g3. Queen e2, if you take the queen, it's back rank mate. Also putting pressure on the knight. Rook goes to a1. And Vaishali keeping her calm. This is just huge nerves. Meanwhile, Alua down to 5 seconds, plays h5. And now rook a8 is a great move because then you threaten check. And she plays rook a8. Vaishali playing so well. Alua just running out of time. She had 1 second. She's threatening a checkmate on the last rank, but before she can do that, Vaishali comes in with a check. And king g8, she has a choice between taking here or taking on f8. Vaishali chooses, okay, it's a check, king g8, and she chooses to take the bishop, king h7, chooses to take the rook, king g8, and now queen e8 check. The rook falls, everything falls. It was quite poetic that those two pieces which did not take part in the game, f8 bishop and h8 rook, fell in the end. With this, Vaishali takes 1-0 lead in the match, and now in the second game, Alua has to strike back in order to equalize the score. They'll take a short break, and on the other side, they will be back. We want to show you what happened in game 2. So we will not start the game from right from the beginning, but we'll start it from the end game position, which looks very, very dangerous for Vaishali. So there was this chance that Alua has now to equalize the scores. As you can see, the arbiter just adjusting all the pieces. And we are ready for the second game now. Let's go. So this is the position. Vaishali is a pawn down. Alua has an extra pawn on b3. This is a great chance for her. Objectively, the position is drawn, but in such high pressure matches, objective evaluation hardly ever matters. So king f3, and Vaishali plays rook to a7. That's a mistake. She should have kept the rook on the b file. It's important because now with b4, that's just what Alua needed. Push the pawn to b4, and now if rook b7, you can always play rook b3, put the rook behind the passer. She goes king f4, allowing the rook to come back to b7, but most likely Vaishali will not do that. She goes rook a5, stopping the white king from entering, and now b4 is the best move. She goes rook d3, king stays on the king side, and now b4. This time the rook could potentially enter behind the pawn, and then rook a2, attack f2, and then get to b2. Yes, Vaishali plays it, and rook b3 isn't that great, so f3, and now you put your rook behind the passer with rook b2. You can see Vaishali's time down to 1 minute 16 seconds. She goes rook b2, rook d4, defends from the side, rook b3. So Vaishali has gotten an active rook, the rook behind the pawn. That looks really promising for her. And she goes to f6, rook c4. G6 played. And now rook check. And Alua is going to put her rook ahead of the pawn. And then she can start pushing here. She can also think about moving the king and sacrificing her f3 pawn. But f6 is not a good decision. She had to wait here with king g8, king f8. But f6 now allows maybe g4 is a very strong move. She gives a check. Oh, not a check. Rook b8. But now g5. Vaishali gets this very important move. Which is the reason why maybe g4 was important. Rook b8. g5 check. Pushes the pawn. King e4. And king comes up to g6. Rook b6. Pinning the pawn here. And we are back to equality. Alua keeps pressing on. Pawn to b5. Takes. And now can Vaishali give a check and try to win this pawn? She gives a check, king f5, and takes it. I guess you must give a check now to b7, king h6. If you take here, there's a check and you lose the f3 pawn. So f4 played. Rook goes to h1. And now rook f7. Vaishali goes behind the pawn, but that's a mistake. h4 was much better. So now check. And the king has to go back. This is losing now for Vaishali. And the game could become 1-1 tie. Rook check. King f7. She goes king to h7. The rook goes back to b6. h4. Just king g4. And Vaishali would play rook f4 now. King takes h4 is winning. Because rook takes f4 check. King g5. Rook b4. And just win this endgame. But she goes for a check. Makes a mistake because now king g6 is back. Such a tough moment. Vaishali plays king g6 with just 2 seconds on the clock. The pressure is high. Can Alua Nurman force Vaishali to go wrong? Gives another check. This time Vaishali must go to f7. And she finds it because in that line after take, the king is closer to the pawn. Rook b8, h3. That's a good move. Because you must take the pawn and I'll take here. And Vaishali is calculating. Rook takes f4, b6. Rook comes back to b4, b7, king g7. Just in time. King g3. And now king e6. King e7. Again b7, king d7. And you are in time to come to c7. King f3. And what a defense there by Vaishali. She was almost on the brink of losing, but she's managed to hold this to a draw, which means that now she is the winner of the first leg of the WR Chess Women's Tour in Tokyo. That's the Asia leg, and that is a big achievement there for Vaishali. Her first tournament after becoming the Women's World Championship challenger. She manages to win it, and a great fight there by Alua Nurman. She almost got Vaishali in the second encounter, but Vaishali wins. The arbiter congratulates her, and there you have it. A great event comes to an end.